If you have spent any time in the investing world, you have probably come across the idea that your net worth explodes after the first $100,000. I believe that too. I work hard, hit that $100,000 mark, and genuinely expected things to suddenly feel different. But nothing felt explosive at all. It still felt slow. After thinking about it more, I realized takeoff point does exist. It's just different for every investor. In this video, I'll explain why the $100,000 milestone can be both helpful and misleading, and I'll show you how to pinpoint the exact moment your portfolio actually takes off. Let's start with the example you have probably seen before, the $100,000 milestone timeline. But stay with me, there is a twist coming. If someone invests $10,000 a year and earns 7% annually, the progression looks like this. Reaching the first $100,000 takes the longest, about 7 years and 10 months. The second $100,000 arrives faster, roughly 5 years and 1 month later. The third takes around 3 years and 9 months. The fourth comes in at just about 3 years. After that, reaching $500,000 takes just 2.5 years. From this point on, each additional $100,000 arrives even faster. Going from $500,000 to $1 million takes only about 8.5 years. Not even 1 year longer than it took to save the very first $100,000. From 1 million to 2 million takes just over 9 years, and moving from 2 million to 3 million takes just over 5.5 years. This chart is helpful. Just like running a marathon, hitting small milestones keeps you motivated, and reaching that first $100,000 feels like you are a quarter of the way to $1 million in terms of the time it takes. This is where most people stop the story, but it doesn't match the real experience of many investors because a few crucial factors are completely overlooked. First, these figures shouldn't be about net worth. This timeline only applies to money that's actually invested and compounding, with dividends reinvested back into the portfolio. Home equity, cars, and a lot of the things that people count as wealth don't actually compound like this. Second, once you adjust things like your starting contribution, how much you will increase each year, and your expected investment return, the whole progression changes. For one person, the next $100,000 might come within just a few years. For someone else, it could take much longer, long enough that it barely feels like progress. It's completely personal. And that's a big reason why the first $100,000 is not a universal turning point. I have built an Excel spreadsheet. You can plug in your own numbers and see what this journey actually looks like for you. More on that later. Here is one more thing most people never mention. Not everyone invests with the intention or the luxury of leaving their money untouched for decades. Money exists to be used, and once you look at the real-life investment goals, the $100,000 milestone suddenly becomes much less relevant. For many everyday investors, one of the most powerful goal types is income-based. Investing until a portfolio can produce a certain amount of income each year. For example, as soon as my portfolio can sustain $60,000 a year on its own, I will step into semi-retirement. In this example, we set $60,000 as the desired annual return. Let's say we start from scratch with no initial investment, contribute $24,000 a year, that's $2,000 a month, increase those contributions by 3% each year, and assume an 8% investment return. We begin at age 40. In a situation like this, the first $100,000 isn't the milestone that matters. What feels far more motivating is watching the portfolio generate 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4 of that target income as it grows, and eventually reaching the full amount. This calculator automatically highlights each milestone using progressively deeper colors, and it also shows exactly which year you'll hit each one, making it easy to see your progress towards the income goal. What's also encouraging is spotting the moment when your portfolio's annual return exceeds your own annual contribution. That's when the portfolio starts working harder than you do. The table and color highlights adjust dynamically as you change the inputs. Feel free to try your own numbers and see how your milestones shift. Another common goal type is a classic I need X by Y, where you have a target amount and a deadline. For example, I need $250,000 in 5 years for a home deposit. In this situation, focusing on the first $100,000 isn't very helpful neither. What actually matters is understanding exactly what it takes to reach your target amount by the deadline. Here is how we work it out. We simply enter $250,000 as a target portfolio value and 5 years as a target time frame. To reach this goal, there are usually 4 levers we can control: starting investment, your initial lump sum, annual contribution, the amount you add each year, annual contribution increase, how much your contributions grow each year, and expected investment return, the growth rate you are aiming for. We can explore how adjusting these 4 key variables changes the path to reaching that goal. This calculator is built around a simple idea. You fix 3 of the 4 variables and solve for the one you are unsure about. The sheet is set up so you can test each scenario one at a time. Scenario number 1 is to solve for the starting investment. You enter the figures for variable 2, 3, and 4, and the calculator solves variable 1, showing you how much initial capital you would need to reach $250,000 in 5 years. Scenario 2 is to solve for the annual contribution. You enter the figures for variable 1, 3, and 4, and the calculator solves variable 2, showing you how much you need to contribute each year to reach the target. Scenario 3 is to solve for the annual contribution increase. We enter the figures for variable 1, 2, and 4, and the calculator solves variable 3, working out the yearly contribution increase rate needed to reach the goal on time. Scenario 4 is to solve for the expected investment return. You enter the figures for variable 1, 2, and 3, and the calculator solves variable 4, telling you the investment return required to hit $250,000 in 5 years. Let me show you how this works. Say you are starting with a $20,000 initial lump sum. You're comfortable increasing your contribution by 3% a year. You're aiming for a 6% return. And the question you want to answer is, how much do I need to contribute in year 1? That's exactly what scenario 2, solve annual investment, is designed for. Click calculate and the sheet gives you the exact contribution required. Then it locks the scenario so you can see a clean snapshot of the plan. You can then confirm the result using the projection table. As you can see, if you invest $37,424 in the first year and increase that contribution by 3% each year, your portfolio reaches $250,000 by the end of year 5. Suppose contributing $37,000 plus in year 1 isn't realistic for you. Maybe you can only put in $20,000 to start with, but you are comfortable increasing that amount by 5% each year. With the same $20,000 starting capital, you might now be wondering, what return would I need to reach $250,000 in 5 years? That's a completely different angle, and that's where scenario 4, solve expected return, comes in. Hit calculate and the result comes out to be 27% per year. The projection table confirms this. But that's an extremely high return and for most people not realistic. And that's exactly the point. The calculator shows you when a plan isn't feasible, so you can adjust your expectations or your contribution levels before relying on assumptions that won't hold in real life. You'll notice that after you calculate, the scenario locks automatically, so your inputs are preserved as a snapshot. If you want to rerun the same scenario with new numbers, just unlock it, enter the new values, and calculate again. The key idea is to find the combination of variables you can realistically commit to. If the math says it's unrealistic, it's your signal to adjust your goals. This is a much more meaningful exercise, and it gives you a much clearer framework for progress than relying on a generic $100,000 benchmark. If you want to play with your own numbers, just download the calculator and explore the scenarios. Just a quick heads up, to use the final tab, you will need to open the file in a version of Excel that supports macros and allow them to be enabled. The link is in the description and it's also pinned in the comment. If you're ready to build on this and strengthen your investment setup, I've made 2 videos that might help. One comparing the top brokerage account in Australia, and another one breaking down the most popular high dividend investment in Australia. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another one.